On the show, India abstains from voting on UN resolution against Russia yet again. We tell you how a thin line separates strategic autonomy from non-alignment. As the countdown for the Char Dham Yatra begins, a detailed analysis on how crowd management is done at such events. As the crucial three-day plenary of the Congress party gets underway in Raipur, President Kharge looks to bring the Congress House of Cards in order. And not sure of your driving skills? Sample what the world thinks of Indian drivers. This and more, Top Angle starts right here, right now. India has again chosen to abstain from voting in a United Nations resolution calling for an end to the war in Ukraine. Counting the latest, India has officially abstained for the third time in exactly 365 days since Russia began its war in Ukraine. Explaining India's approach, that of being people-centric, permanent representative to the United Nations, Char Dham raised questions on the fundamental structure of the UN Security Council. Kamboj questioned the effectiveness of the United Nations in tackling contemporary challenges due to its quote-unquote inherent limitations. Take a look.
Approach to the Ukraine conflict will continue to be people-centric. We are providing both humanitarian assistance to Ukraine and economic support to some of our neighbors in the global south under economic distress, even as they stare at the escalating costs of food, of fuel and fertilizers, which has been a consequential fallout of the ongoing conflict. Today, as the General Assembly marks a year of the Ukrainian conflict, it is important that we ask ourselves a few pertinent questions. Are we anywhere near a possible solution acceptable to both sides? Can any process that does not involve either of the two sides ever lead to a credible and meaningful solution? Has the UN system, and particularly its principal organ, the UN Security Council, based on a 1945 world construct, not been rendered ineffective to address contemporary challenges to global peace and security? We will always call for dialogue and diplomacy as the only viable way out. While we take note of the stated objectives of today's resolution, given its inherent limitations in reaching our desired goal of securing lasting peace, we are constrained to abstain. Thank you.
Well, now, since Russia began its war on Ukraine, many have jumped at every opportunity to paint India's stance with a bad brush. Through some act of twisted logic, many allege complicity by abstention on the part of New Delhi. India was among the 32 countries, including China, Pakistan, Iran, and others, that abstained in the United Nations General Assembly vote. The resolution called for quote-unquote immediate, complete, and unconditional withdrawal of Russian military forces from the territory of Ukraine. A total of 141 member states voted in favor of the resolution, while 7 countries, including Russia, Belarus, and North Korea, voted against. In an era of black and white, an era of taking sides, of pitting one against the other, there are many who still end up misreading India's official position. This is either done in bad faith by actors who are keen to suppress India's unique voice, or by those who are simply ignorant, willful, or otherwise. In the highest of forums for Russia-Ukraine war, India has let it known once again that dialogue and diplomacy is the only viable way out. Moving on, it was yet another UN session where Pakistan faced the music at the hands of India. India slammed Pakistan after it referred to Jammu and Kashmir during a special session on Ukraine in the UN General Assembly. On Thursday, India used its right of reply after Pakistan's envoy mentioned Jammu and Kashmir during a resolution on Ukraine during the UN Emergency Special Session. India described the provocation as regrettable and misdirected, and highlighted Islamabad's long history of harboring and providing safe havens to terrorists.
President, I am taking the floor today to say that India chooses this time not to respond to Pakistan's mischievous provocations. Our advice to the delegate of Pakistan is to refer to our numerous rights of reply that we have exercised in the past. Pakistan has only to look at itself and its own track record as a state that harbors and provides safe havens to terrorists and does so with impunity. Such uncalled for provocation is particularly regrettable and certainly misplaced at a time when, after 2 days of intense discussions, we have all agreed that the path of peace can be the only path forward to resolve conflict.
But to Australia now. An Indian consulate in Brisbane has been targeted by Khalistani supporters. Brisbane Consul of India, Archana Singh, found a Khalistani flag attached to her office when she arrived on the 22nd of February. She immediately informed the Queensland police and the flag was confiscated. Earlier, a Hindu temple in Australia was vandalized with Modi hate rant scribbled on the walls. The spate of attacks on temples by Khalistani groups have triggered concerns among Hindu communities. Now, moving on. Registration for the pilgrimage to the Badrinath and Kedarnath has begun, and within 48 hours, over 62,000 pilgrims have already applied online. And if you are planning to go for the Char Dham Yatra, you must ensure you have your QR code handy. Without it, darshan won't be allowed. So how does it work? Registration is mandatory for the Char Dham Yatra. A QR code will be received on the registered mobile number and tokens will be given for the darshan in the Char Dham. The new system ensures that devotees are not required to stand in long queues. Amid the subsidence incidents in Joshimath, the focus is also on traffic management. Only a limited number of vehicles will be allowed to ply on the Yatra route. For a smooth Yatra experience, there are some additional SOPs that may be pressed into action. Ban on carrying mobiles to Badrinath and Kedarnath temples on the lines of Tirupati Balaji, Vaishno Devi, Mahakal and Somnath temples. Dress codes can also be implemented for darshan on the lines of other renowned temples in the country. CCTV cameras will be installed everywhere. The temple committee is also likely to put a ban on priests from taking donations or dakshina from the devotees. Now, these added rules are not new though. There are several temple sites in the country that have token, QR code and other crowd control measures in place. Sabarimala in Kerala is one of the largest annual pilgrimage sites in the country and the world, with an estimate of over 10 to 15 million footfall every year. Online or offline registration is mandatory and devotees required to show a valid identity card matching the details on the ticket. Only those who registered over the virtual queue system are allowed entry. And to add to it, there is a strict dress code for men. Remember, females between the ages of 10 to 55 are not allowed to enter Sabarimala shrine. Similarly, for Tirupati Balaji in Andhra Pradesh, registration with the TTD website is mandatory. For men, the dress code is dhoti or pajamas with upper cloth. For women, the preferred dress code is sari or traditional salwar kameez. Now, these measures may appear to be tedious to many, but with a footfall of lakhs of visitors on a daily basis, incidents of crowd rush and stampede cannot be ruled out. And bearing that in mind, these rules assume a lot of significance at events as big as the Char Dham Yatra. Moving on. The 3-day Congress plenary session is underway in Chhattisgarh's capital, Raipur. The steering committee decided against holding elections to the Congress Working Committee. This means the CWC will have its members nominated by its new president, Mallikarjun Kharge, and not picked through an election. That last happened about 26 years ago. And to give Kharge a free hand at the decision-making, without any influence, former Congress President Sonia Gandhi, Rahul and Priyanka skipped the key meet for the initial part of the session on Friday. The 3-day Raipur conclave is expected to see Congress taking key decisions, laying out a roadmap for the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. The party is also expected to mull over its alliance with other opposition parties to keep the Bharatiya Janata Party at bay. One thing that is sure though, Congress will not give up its leadership role in any opposition formation. What would change after the plenary is that former Congress president will be automatically inducted into the CWC. The session is expected to delve into issues like economic disparity, social polarization, and how to counter BJP's aggressive politics. Also, the Congress is trying to sell the Chhattisgarh model of governance, much on the lines of BJP's Gujarat model. Well, now off late, Congress has seen many exits and senior members openly criticizing the young blood. Now with the plenary, the party must try to get the House in order and come up with ways and measures to fight the all-important 2024 polls. And ahead of the crucial state assembly elections in Karnataka, veteran BJP leader and former Chief Minister of the state B.S. Yeddyurappa has announced his retirement from active politics. During his last speech in the assembly, BJP's veteran leader Yeddyurappa vowed to help the BJP to come back to power in Karnataka. He also pledged to support the party until his last breath and also expressed his gratitude to the people of Karnataka for allowing him to serve them throughout his political career. Remember, Yeddyurappa has been the only leader in Karnataka's history to have served as the Chief Minister 4 times. Take a look at this. Rash driving and major and minor accidents. We all see these on Indian roads on almost a daily basis. But now it's official. A report by an insurance company called Compare the Market says Indian drivers are among the worst drivers in the world. Well, now the study conducted on drivers from 50 countries has been compiled after taking into account a range of factors such as traffic awareness, traffic hazards, road quality, the number of road deaths, etc. These are the same factors that are usually considered by insurance experts around the world to compare the market. If we go through the list of worst drivers in the world, Thailand tops the list with a meager score of 2.17, Peru is second, scoring 2.28, while Lebanon is a close third on the list. India finds the 4th spot in the list of worst drivers with a score of 2.34, whilst Malaysia is at the 5th pedestal, scoring a 2.36. In the list of the best drivers, Japan tops the chart with a score of 4.57, meaning Japan has the safest drivers in the world. Countries like Netherlands, Norway, Estonia, and Sweden also found their place in the top 5 list of best drivers in the world. Now, comparing with Japan, India has a long way to go to make its drivers the best or at least the safest in the world. India still remains low on traffic rules enforcement, due to which thousands die on the road annually. Take a look at this. NCRB data says over 1.55 lakh people died in road accidents across India in the year 2021. This means 426 daily deaths, which in turn means 18 deaths every single hour on the roads in India. A careful look at the reasons behind these accidents indicates most casualties could be avoided. It's high time we take driving on the road seriously and avoid being a part of the statistics on road casualties. And before we leave, we bring you a video from the Indian Army showcasing the operations of its armored regiments. Take a look and have a safe weekend.